some months afterwards, they started a big police raid. They call it Operation Spring. And with that Operation Spring, they took all like the major organizing people of the African community who were like organizing the protest. They took took them and they installed them like drug bosses. So they started. So they built up a whole campaign. They did their police raids. They arrested more than 100 Africans, far more. I don't know the exact number. Charged them all with drug trafficking, and then they charged especially one person, Charles Ofwedo, who is a known a Nigerian writer, an African who is a writer here in Austria. And they charged him. They said he's the boss of this whole drug whatever trafficking cartel. And they sent them to prison. It was like a big thing. Then they went all over the newspaper. They said they committed a decisive blow against the international drug trafficking, like we're all black. They really installed black people as drug traffickers, and they crushed like this whole community protest. And it was like again a case of years and years where black people were. It's like today is reportedly, for example, Charles Ofwedo never had anything to do with drugs. They never could accuse him of anything, but that was not even brought again in the media. Till today, if you go out and ask many Austrians, they still think that Charles Ofwedo had dealt with drugs, because afterwards there was no official apology. He has spent almost a year in jail or something like that before they released him, because there was no charge. And then they never brought any excuse in the public newspaper, something like that. And so the image was left at the end. The image was left, and the whole community was like crushed. And since then, black people are really terrified in going openly, because they know that whenever they do it, and they do it in an organized way, things like that can happen again. And many of our people, many of our sisters and brothers here are still struggling to get the legal status, because as a refugee, if you do anything, if you get problems, they can immediately close your case and send you back. So that's why it's like the situation is like people are kind of tense. They're not ready now to speak up, because a lot of people are afraid. So that is the story that we associate with Marcus Mufuma.
And when did it happen?
That happened. Marcus Mufuma was, I think, in 2000 or something like that. Okay. 2000. And we had later we had Shebani Wagwe dying in police custody. We had more people dying in police custody. We had Yankuba Sise dying in police custody also. The case with Shebani Wagwe died because he was working in one place here in Austria. Was, I think, 3 years ago. They had something like an African village, like Austrian guy organized it with, they wanted to show our African culture, and he was working there, and there was something was happening. There was some quarrel, some fight, and the police had to come one evening, and Shebani Wagwe was there, and he refused to get arrested, something like that. So they dragged him to the floor, they dragged him to the ground, and two policemen with the full weight, they handcuffed him like that, and two policemen with the full weight stood on him until he didn't move anymore. That was when he died. And that one was videotaped by a guy hiddenly, and it went to the media also. And they also said Shebani Wagwe had a weak heart. And then they made up a case also that he was a drug dealer. He was doing whatever, what is not true also. Yeah, he was a graduate he studied in Russia. He studied something like, I don't know, physics or something like that, or biological chemistry, something like that. And they said he had a weak heart and whatever, and the whole case was pursued until about 3 weeks ago, when all policemen, and there was even a doctor there, because they called the ambulance. The doctor was there. There were two sanitators were there, policemen were there, and the guy died in their hands, and all people were released of charges. Nobody was charged.
Get up, stand up, don't give up the fight. Preacher man, don't tell me heaven is